It took 6 rounds, but Edie finally became the first person to break the incredible streak of wins by Josh Chin. But the work is far from over. 4 races still remain, and Serrois' second place in St. Louis chopped the points gap down significantly. Can he carry the momentum? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 7 of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Interlagos is perhaps most well known in the racing world for its hosting of F1's Brazilian Grand Prix. So open wheel cars should fit right in here. Let's head to our track guide to learn a little bit more. Welcome to Autódromo's Jose Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its 2 layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of 2 circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Senna S, followed by the blast towards the Descida do Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those 2 corners. But from Ferradura until Juchão, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo. Interlagos is a popular one and unfortunately might be off the F1 calendar soon. Let's hope that it sticks around, but at least we have it in the virtual world here to race today. DJ, why don't you run us down how these Indy Pro cars are going to take to it?
Well, I think these Indy Pro cars are going to take to this like a duck on water. To steal a little bit one of the corner names, turn 10 obviously being called the Duckspill. This is going to be a real challenge for these cars, though, coming through that twisty infield section from about turn 6 to turn 11. It's a lot of light braking, trying to unload as much weight off the front tires as possible. It is really tricky and technical, but rest assured we are going to see plenty of good passing here, as this track always does produce really good stuff. Anytime you try to get a pass, there is a corner coming up right after it that will favor the guy to the other side of you. So it's going to be action-packed all the way across, but with these cars, that infield section is going to be a lot of slipping and sliding, and I unfortunately wouldn't be surprised if we see more than a few off tracks here today.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. And, well, today's broadcast, we want to mention, is proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Taking a look at the championship, as I mentioned, the gap is down, but it is not gone completely. David Serrois still 25 points to make up to Josh Chin. Chin's poor results last week is really what helped David the most. He's got to hope for more of those to be able to have a realistic shot in the coming rounds. Rodriguez, Gaillon, and Edie rounding out the top 5. Edie finally claiming the win, as I mentioned, but the fight for third still incredibly tight. Why don't we take a look at the AM Championship that they hold here as well?
Well, in that AM championship, it is a little bit closer as you see Dave Peterson just holding a 12-point lead over Owen McLaughlin, and from there on, it's sevens pretty much all the way down the board. Michael Broom had only 7 points behind Owen McLaughlin there in third, and Cristelli 7 points behind him. Kevin Santana breaking up that train of sevens, though, in fifth, just being 5 points back. So this whole field very, very up for play. So the AM championship all up for grabs. Keep an eye on those AM drivers here tonight.
As for the team standings, obviously Joshua Chin's team is doing the best. He's honestly put in the most work there on that one, because when you look at RSR Esport and Lavoie Motorsports, they fill out the rest of the top 5 spots in the points championship, the drivers' points championship. So it's almost kind of shocking that Team Talent is still leading this one. So Josh Chin has got to get his teammate up there and contributing a little bit more if they want to stay safe. Blown Tranny Racing and Beagle Vision Racing round out our top 5 there. Of course, we also have race details. Do you want to run us down those, DJ, for anybody who's tuning in for the first time?
I most certainly can. Well, we are working on the 7 of 10 rounds here tonight at Interlagos. Each race is 45 minutes long, and it is a completely open setup for these drivers. They can tune the cars to whatever it's going to suit their individual driving styles. The only caveat to that being is that we do run about a 65% fuel limit, so you will have to pop into the pits at some point during the course of the race. Now, in terms of penalties, you will get a drive-through at 11 incident points, and you will be disqualified at 20. We're also giving away some bonus points here tonight. You get one for pole if you are driving the fastest lap, or if you are able to get 3 incidents or less on the night.
And that qualifying is currently going on. Before we touch on that, just a quick mention that if you want to advertise on our channel, we have means to do so. There's a link in the description below where we've got more information to help you figure out how to get your company on the air and seen by over 1 million monthly impressions all across the world here on GSRC. Now, right now, Josh Chin holds the provisional pole. Sirwa has chopped it down to within about a tenth. And then Edie's in third, a little ways back. Those 3 were incredibly close in the warm-up. I believe the top 4 were separated by less than a tenth of a second by the end of it. So I expect this to close in, DJ.
I do too, and it's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do here. As you watch Chin on your screen, he's running in pretty much completely clean air at this point, but I think if you're able to catch somebody just right and maybe get a draft down the main straight, it may help you shave off a half a tenth or so. And so we may see, as this qualifying winds down, guys trying to sort of game out the competition and get effect of those guys in front.
Yeah, that draft on the front stretch, and I guess the Reto Aposta, as something we were talking about. We've got a pit reporter with us today. Joseph Tebben joins us once again. And Joe, you were mentioning how you felt like that's going to play a major part in how this race is going to unfold.
Yes, hello and obrigado, Joe. I do think that the 2 long straights here, similar to what we saw in Road America, not exactly the same, but we do have 2 long straights in this track. The Reto Aposta, which translates to opposite line, thanks to Google Translate. That leads you into the tight turn 4 down the hill. That'll be a great passing zone. And Arquibancadas, after you come out of turn 13, that long run up the hill and back down the hill to turn 1, that's where you're probably going to get most of your passes done, because the draft is so unbelievably powerful down that long straight.
Yeah, these cars don't have too much power, so I think you're right that we should see quite a bit of overtaking happen in those 2 spots. We got about 6.5 minutes left to see improvements as we watch Cochran come across the line. He's still in 27th, as that lap seemed to have not counted. I do see that Santana's popped into the top 3. He's coming into pit lane right now, so it looks like he's going to try and reset, get some fresh tires on, see if he can go quicker. That's going to bump Declan Eady down. Edie on his recovery now that he's taken his victory, but with a lot of points to try and make up. And though he looked quick in the warm-up, right now qualifying, it's not looking as hot.
No, it's not. As we watch Alex Guyon cross the line there with a 29.7, he is only going to be 4th place. Here is Paul Wildridge in that wonderfully bright teal car there. Very, very off time is now Eric LeBlanc's going to try to cross. He is going to be able to improve his time very slightly, but still down in 16th place as you see them there. And here comes the man we've all been talking about, Declan Eady, working his way up around that 14 and 15 corners that Joseph was talking about, trying to make his way across the line for a fast lap.
Comes down to the line. Last one was a 29.7. It was his quickest, and this one looks like he must have had an off or is on his out lap, because that one did not count for him either. Legault was in the slipstream, by the way, of the number 542 of Eric LeBlanc. So that got him quite a bit of speed. He's up to 6 with that move. Nicely done by him. By the way, Santana who I mentioned is in third, is our highest AM driver right now. So very well done for the 666 machine to get himself well up the order for his class. It'll be some nice points if he can bring that home to a good finish. What about Roofs? Currently on track, down in 25th. Another off track has nullified that lap, so that's not going to do it. The number 26 car. Back to Guyon once again. And this time even quicker at 29.4. That's actually going to bump him up onto the inside of row 2. Third place for him.
Very good lap there for a Guyon. That's going to move our top-rated AM driver Santana back down the line. Wildridge crosses the line, unable to improve once again. Here we go with Eric LeBlanc, unable to improve, which this seems to be a theme here, Joe, is not a lot of guys able to do much. Judging off that time, Daniel Barnett, another guy that is not going to be able to improve his time at the moment.
Looks like Josh Chin last lap, or lap before the previous one, I should say, got it down to a 29 flat, and that puts him about a 10th and a half ahead of David Sirois now. Talking about lack of improvement, it is relatively hot out there right now. It's about 99 degrees Fahrenheit on the surface. That's 37 Celsius. But significantly, look at that wind. I wonder if the drivers are getting blown around a little bit, because it's certainly changing a lot in speed.
It really is, and frankly, Joe, as I was riding on board with some of these guys in their practice, where it's most hitting them is actually in that slower infield section as you really start to work your way up the hill through turns 6 and 7, semi-high speed at that point. They're getting major crosswinds across the face of the car, and it seemed to be throwing a lot of guys out of whack. So I wonder if that could actually be affecting a lot of these nullified times we've seen.
That's a good point, yeah, because there's a few spots with paved runoff there too, so easy to go just that little bit wide and cost yourself that lap. Looks like we had an improvement from Paul Wildridge, but he stays in 24th that time by. As McLaughlin comes across, and this is Barnett now to the line in the number 67. That's not going to be any quicker for him. Josh Chin back and through. Doesn't find any more time himself. What about Eady? Down to a 29.7 for him. Is that going to bump him up? No, he's still less than a 10th off of Santana.
Joe, I really think as we see these guys crossing the line, as Austin Espedy running a very good time there with a 30.025, that is going to bump him up into 10th place. Big improvement for him. But a lot of these guys are not getting the benefit of that draft that Joseph was talking about earlier, and I think that's what's hurting them. The guys that we've seen been able to get a little bit of improvement on their time, as Jean-Francois Mattei goes there to be the counter to my point, running into clean air and goes a little faster. But I think that's really what we're seeing. Not a lot of draft, not able to pick up that high speed.
Got Roofs on screen, but I'm watching Guyon just behind him in the 808. He's got just shy of 4/10 to make up to get to Chin. This one's not going to be any closer, unfortunately. 2/10 to make up just to get onto the front row for Guyon. So the top two have streaked away a little bit. We're on Duhamel now.
Duhamel able to improve there by about 2/10. That's going to move him up to 7th place. David Sirois not going to have a good lap. I was actually watching him a little bit earlier. He had an off through turn 9. Just ran a little bit wide, and so that's what caught him out. He is going to cross the line in time. He may be able to do another flyer here if he's lucky. Daniel Barnett not able to improve. as we see the clock winding down here with under a minute to go. Joshua Chin starting a fast lap. We'll see if he can maybe pick up a draft. Austin Espedy trying to get another good time. We saw him run that better time last time. Currently sitting at about a 130 dead. He's going to cross the line at a 130.188. Not fast enough for Espedy.
And as that was happening, Indy up to row 2. He's got himself within 3/100ths of David Serrois with some time left to get one more lap in. And I think it's only going to be one more lap for Serrois as well, because about less than 20 seconds, and he's just coming through the infield. This is Matei just ahead of them down into the line, trying to improve on a 30.7. He's just inside the top 20 currently. And that was a very slow lap for him, so that's not going to do it. Roofs goes a little bit quicker just before the checkered flag, up to 18th for him. This is Guyon coming down along with Ike, and Ike does not improve, unfortunately.
And here we see Sebastian Prue working his way across, able to improve with a 131.2 there, bumps him up to 26th place, but not fast enough. Serrois calling it a day. Owen McLaughlin now coming across the line. He's going to, just a couple of hundredths slower there. Not able to improve. Daniel Barnett, currently 28th. He is one of our last guys out on track. He crosses the line, able to improve 0.3 better. Declan Eady crosses the line, and 3/100ths for Declan Eady.
Just not quite there. David Rodriguez looks like he might be entering pit lane. Yes. No, he is going to cross the line, excuse me. So the number 15 in 15th pops himself up a little bit more, up to, well, a lot more, up to P8 for him.
And there you see Santana crossing the line. Kevin Santana there, unable to improve, but he will be rolling off in 6th. He is our highest placed AM driver. Last guy currently on Andrew Wood. Not sure if he is on a fast lap now or not.
Looks like he's done a good one. He really needs it. We've seen Wood qualify way higher than this in races past. This is not good if this is where he'll start down in 19th. Please let him get something good in here. No. Oh, goodness. It is going to be a hard day for the 32 car for sure. So that ends our qualifying. Let's go through our starting order for round 7. Josh Chin with another bonus point to extend himself farther away from the man who qualified behind him, David Serrois, who will be starting in 2nd. Declan Eady in P3, trying to follow up from last round with Alex Guyon starting P4. Olivier Legault will start in 5th. Our first AM driver on the field will be in 6th. That's Kevin Santana. Andreas Ike will start in 7th. You've got David Rodriguez, who is outside in P8, with Don Bowden starting 9th, and Michael Broomhead rounds out your top 10.
Starting off in 11th is going to be Eric LeBlanc, followed by Austin Espedy in 12th. That's going to be a really interesting row to watch. 2 pro drivers there back in the field. Owen McLaughlin and Anders Arhus in 13th and 14th. Christopher Richards and David Cristelli making up row 8, with Sean Duhamel and Aaron Roofs behind them in 17th and 18th respectively. Andrew Wood, that driver we were focusing on at the end, unable to improve, stays 19th to start, and Jean-Francois Mattei will roll off in 20th.
21st goes to Matthew Gunderson with Dave Peterson in 22nd, Tyler Gore in 23rd, and Adam Wright in 24th. And you've got Donald Olson in the quarter century mark. Sebastian Prue starts 26th. He'll be followed by Paul Wildridge in 27th. To his outside, it's Daniel Barnett, P28. Last 2 drivers to put time in is Cochran in 29th and Hebert in 30th. Tyler Scarali did not set a time, and he does not appear to be in the session. I also see Dave Peterson not here, interestingly. So looks like we might be missing 2 drivers of our 31 who we expected to be here today. That'll give us 29 out there today, which is plenty, because I'm curious what the lap traffic is going to be like in that infield section when we get later into the race, DJ.
It's going to be really, really tricky. This is one of those tracks that, because of the camber of the corners, you really have to be on the racing line. Otherwise, you're going to lose a whole bucket load of time. So it's going to require the lapped cars to either get out of the way or just be very cautious to know where everything is happening. I don't think any of these leaders are going to want to be making some, dangerous moves around the outside or anything like that. But lap traffic, definitely a storyline.
Waiting for the last of them to grid up here, then we'll get going for a 45-minute race today here in round 7 of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series. Josh Chin has been the winningest driver this season with 5 wins out of the first 6 rounds. Only reason he didn't win the last one seemed to have been a little bit of a bet that he had with his Twitch viewers, of all things. A certain amount of subscriptions, and he agreed to go to the back of the field. And that unfortunately was a little bit of a costly bet for him because it put him under the gun, and he finished a lap down in 11th. We're understanding that Dave Peterson had his power go out, so he might not be back for a while, but hopefully he can get back soon and at least try and get off the grid to try and salvage something out of today. DJ, we've got just a couple corners to go, and then we're on our way. I have to imagine, I suspect that Chin's going to leave it a while so that he doesn't give too much of a slipstream to the cars behind him on this start.
Joe, you read my mind. If I'm starting off in this race, I frankly want to be Declan Eady or Alex Guyon here. The slipstream down into 1 and all the way through 3 and into 4 is going to be big to play. Chin has got to time this exactly right if he's going to be able to break that slipstream and lead for this first lap.
Coming past Water Tower now and towards Subidos dos Boxes. They're waiting for the Porsche pace car to duck into the lane. This is the older version of that pit entry before they added a little bit of a chicane into there like they do in modern times to slow the cars down on entry. There it goes. And Chin is off. Green flag is out for round 7. It's a very good start for him. Declan Eady trying to pull ahead of David Serrois as they come down into the Senna S. This is a danger zone, especially at the start. A little bit of 3 wide behind them. Looks like they're going to get it sorted out. So far, so good, and it seems to be a clean start for our field.
I saw one spinner there. I think that may have been Paul Wildridge in the back, but most everybody able to get through nice and clean. The big storyline there is that jump from Joshua Chin, just absolutely mega as they make their way down into there. Whoo, you see somebody sliding off there. I'm not sure exactly who that is. I think that's Cristelli.
Ooh, a few cars. Yeah, Cristelli's one of them, and I believe, looks like Aaron Roofs potentially was the other. Joseph Tebben had his eyes on the back of the field as they went down the hill. Did you see who the spinner was?
Yep, it was Austin Espedy, who has unfortunately turned his 12th place qualifying position into a 29th place.
Oh, and we got another spinner. Sebastian Prue is around, coming into turn 8. He'll get going, falling in behind Anders Arhaus, but didn't hit anything, so he's still going. Otherwise, up at the front, Chin still leads ahead of Eady, with Serrois being demoted to 3rd here on the first lap. Guyon is in P4, but the action starts in 5th. It is Santana being chased by Rodriguez, and he's got a good run coming up the hill.
David Rodriguez just showing that absolute fire that we've seen from him the last couple of rounds. Really putting some good power down there in the last part of that lap. He's going to dive to the inside here on Santana, trying to fight for that inside line into the Senna S. He's going to have it. He's going to control it and be able to get the car in position for that second corner and be able to really start to pull away here and start to aim now for Alex Guyon in front of him.
Change of position behind them as well. Broomhead getting by Legault. Boy, Olivier in the 88 is under threat big time. He lost momentum where he doesn't want it because here comes Ike. You can see him poking to the inside, coming down to the Descida del Lago. He's given space. Once again, Olivier not able to hold back, just a flood of cars. LeBlanc going to be the next one as they go side by side in front of him. Broomhead had some difficulty off the Descida del Lago. That's 2 spots in 1 lap for Ike.
Wow, great move there from Ike, and very much disastrous there from Legault. I think he almost beached himself a little bit coming through that corner. It looked like his right side tires came off the rumble strips a little bit. That obviously caused some wheel spin, slowed him down a little bit. But as this battle continues here, you see Broomhead, Ike, LeBlanc, all these guys really trying to fight for it. This is that tricky infield section we were talking about, and now they're going to work their way back onto the main straight up the hill here and try to line up in that draft. Don't be surprised if you see some drivers really taking some aggressive moves here to try to break that speed from behind.
Off the junction, that's LeBlanc in the orange and black machine being chased by Legault, trying to get his spot back behind them. Very tight quarters between Bowden and Richards. I think Richards might have something for him as Bowden goes defensive up towards the Senna S. Not any overlap, unfortunately, for Christopher Richards, so he backs out of it. By the time they hit that first corner, he stays in 12th.
Good move there from Bowden, breaking the draft early. Richards not wanting to follow him, thinking he can take it on the outside. To really make that move work, you've got to stay tucked up behind the car in front of you as long as possible.
They stay in line as we watch on board with Legault now, still following the gearbox of Eric LeBlanc in the 5-4-2. They come down towards the horseshoe into Ferradura. Broomhead ahead of both of them, leading something of a train in the mid-pack, not missing anything up front. The leaders have been pretty stationary, and he almost gets into the back, or excuse me, yeah, Legault almost got into the back of LeBlanc there as they entered into turn 8.
And Joe, that is that tricky section we were talking about earlier, and just how light and soft you have to be on the brakes. You're loading, steering into the corner, into the car as much as possible, and trying to avoid any sort of lockup as you work your way up that right-hander. Really heads up play there from Legault not to go full on to the back of LeBlanc. I'm very impressed by that driving.
Up at the front of the train, Broomhead still leading the way and pulling them along, but the fight might be between Bowden and Richards once again. Richards is strong. This time he stays within the slipstream, but he's still not going to get anything. I wonder if Richards has just a little bit too much wing on the car.
He may have a little bit too much wing, or Joe, we've talked about this before, the weird sort of gearing that these cars have, that you really only have 2 settings for that highest gear. So I wonder if he's maybe misgeared the car. Haven't been on board with him. I'll see if I can dive in and check that out.
Oh, did Santana just get Rodriguez? That's actually going to switch back and forth once again, because Rodriguez goes right underneath him once more. Santana gets back in line. He's not going to be able to tack into the horseshoe behind them. All that fussing about has allowed Ike to close in, so it is now a 3-car battle for P5.
Really good action here, trying to keep it together. You want to get as much of a jump off of turn 12 as possible as they now work their way here through the duckbill, back down the hill. They're going to go side by side. That's Ike and Rodriguez really trying to push it, or Santana, excuse me. Ike going to be able to pull it out and keep it ahead here.
Snuck up the inside of the duckbill, and that'll give Ike P6. Cost them a little bit of time to Rodriguez, though, as we are looking back at the number 666. Rodriguez streaking away. There you see the time on your screen, the distance between the 3 cars. That'll be music to the ears, the number 15. In the meantime, I did see we had someone hop into pit lane. Joseph, did you happen to get an eye on who that was?
I did not catch who that was. I'm currently looking around. Did anyone come into pit lane? I'm not entirely sure. I just see the pace car.
I think my timing screen showing me Cristelli took a trip through. We'll check on that in just a little bit. In the meantime, I believe Legault got by LeBlanc into the first corner. That's going to get him up into 9th.
It is, and he's going to be able to do it as we continue. There we go. We watch him. You see him start to pull away a little bit. We're going to watch the replay here now of how he's able to make this move. You see him tuck up behind in that draft, going to get right up the gearbox of LeBlanc. Really good slipstream. Jinx out to the inside, just gets the preferred line through the Senna S. LeBlanc tries to counter on the outside, doesn't have the momentum. That's position Legault.
Beautiful smooth move there from Olivier after what was a bit of a bad start. Remember, he was in P5 at the beginning of this race. Now he's back to 8th, even with that overtake. A lot of work to do for him for sure. Up at the front, Josh Chin's been putting in work. He's got a 2-second gap back to Declan Eady and has just looked unfazed since the drop of the green.
Josh Chin just doing what Josh Chin does best in this series, which is lead. As you see him here working his way down the Senna S, he's got that, like you said, about 2-second gap back. Sirwa trying to claw back a little bit on Declan Eady, but not fully successful. They're pretty much just running their own race at this point, really pulling away from Alex Guyon in 5th, as Sirwa's got about a 4.5-second gap back to him.
Sounds like we've had Joseph hustle down the lane to get to Cristelli's team. What can you tell us, Joseph?
It was indeed David Cristelli coming in for what appeared to just be a routine stop. I think he's just the first to fight a new strategy, and I thought he was coming back to pit lane, but no, he's not. He's still going.
That's incredibly early. We don't typically see drivers come in that soon in a race. Hopefully he can get to the end from there. Meanwhile, we're going to go back to the battle for 5th place because Ike has already run down Rodriguez. He lost a little bit of time when he was trying to battle with Santana. He's already made it up. He'll come through the Duckspill. If he's going to set himself up, DJ, for the run out of the junction.
He's going to try to. It's going to depend on what his exit here through the junction is. He's going to get the power down a little bit early. That's going to be a good run. You see Rodriguez getting a little bit squirrely there. Ike's going to have more momentum here, tucks up in the draft. That's Rodriguez trying to hold that inside line as much as possible. Ike thinks he's got a little bit of room. He's going to go to the outside here. We're going to have to see how these two cars perform. Coming through that final corner, though, Rodriguez able to get a little bit more speed, taking the shortest line through. Ike not going to push the advantage here. He's going to take us to the outside. Think about an over-under, but ultimately just slide back in the line and see what he can do coming down into turn 4.
Making that number 15 look in his mirrors for sure. Oh, and he goes defensive down the Retta Oposta. Obviously feeling threatened here. Andreas thinking about it himself, but decides to stay on the racing line into the braking. Once again, much more tidy down into the corner, clipping the apex, and that gives Ike the momentum he wants. But Rodriguez will stick it right in the middle of the road, making that car as wide as possible, just not giving Andreas the opportunity that he needs.
He's not, and I have to tell you, I do just love watching David Rodriguez drive this Indy Pro 2000 car. It's really a treat to see, but I have to say, I think advantage here is Andreas Ike. He's got a faster car, and Rodriguez is moving a lot in reaction to what he thinks Ike is going to be doing, and I think that's going to allow Ike to be able to sort of give him a head fake here on the next couple of laps if he's able to get a good run.
Not as much of an advantage this time, it looks like, coming off the junction compared to what we saw before. He still will get reeled in by that hole in the air that Rodriguez is braking to come up past the pit entry. He starts to pull in, but it's not enough, and he'll run out of slipstream by the time they break down into the Senna S, plunging downhill once more. We'll jump back to 9th, which is side by side right now. This is Richards and LeBlanc side, wheel to wheel through the corner. LeBlanc gets a little bit loose. Oh, and now Richards does. He hits the inside wall, an unusual place to hit the Armco, but it's enough to end his day as that suspension is done for. It was 3 wide into the corner, DJ.
It was, and that brown car, you see them pass like they was standing still as Andrew Wood. It looks like coming out of there, Richards just got on the power a little bit too early. Car just wasn't as responsive as he wanted it, couldn't get it there, and just ran over those rumble strips and going to that inside arm.
If we come back live, Rodriguez is side by side with Ike now, inside of the left-hander, but the outside of the Ducksbill. As the 76 might have to do this the hard way. Can he keep the overlap? Not quite. And once again, Rodriguez is going to deny him. Clearly, he's not going to give this one up without a fight. But he's awful close right here. And Ike, once again, looking much more smooth.
He really is. Rodriguez just seeing how far his elbows will extend out of that car. Really great driving from the both of them there. I was really pretty sure that one of them was going to run into each other. As we're now going to jump back to, well, no, we're not, because here comes Ike making the move on the outside. Can he have it going into the Senna S? He's going to fall back in line. I don't think he's got it.
Oh, it's looking awful close. That's the closest he's gotten, honestly, this whole race so far, to try and complete that overtake. In the meantime, one of our top runners has come to pit lane. Let's go to Joseph.
Yep, Declan Eady is the first taker of the leaders to come into the pits. As we're watching this exciting battle on track, Declan Eady is sitting in the pits for a surprisingly long amount of time. I'm not sure if he hit the wall when I wasn't watching or something, but this is a very long pit stop for the driver who was running in second place.
Another little look there from Ike on screen. Joseph, if you can, see if you can pull up the replay and tell us if you can figure out what happened, because that is weird that he has taken such a long stop here. Meanwhile, down through the infield once again, holding each other up, Olivier Legault sees both of those cars and thinks, I could get in on this, but Ike is going to finally get to the inside like he's been wanting to for many, many corners, and that's going to give him 4th place critically.
Andreas Ike getting by what seems like by sheer force of will. They're forcing his way through Pico de Pato, really making a good move there. And now Ike, I think, is going to start to stretch his legs here. He's clearly got more speed than Rodriguez, and now he'll just be able to show it.
Ooh, he's coming back at him, though. Could he lose the position right back? Rodriguez with a great run, looking to the inside, but he finds himself on the other end of the stick and runs out of racetrack. So all this fighting has definitely allowed Olivier Legault to cut it down to about 0.5 of a second behind these two. Still 2/3 of the race left, so plenty of opportunity for him to try and go on the attack. And if they do that, don't forget about Kevin Santana, who's about 1.5 seconds back behind them. So this could all kick off into something spectacular here. Ooh, Rodriguez, once again, trying to make Ike sweat, but Ike's not falling for it.
Well, and it almost worked there, and it does again. That's the 2nd time in as many corners that Ike has run wide over those rumble strips, one of the signature things here at Interlagos, but he's able to really get the power down better through that tight left-handed hairpin. I know how to use my hands to tell me directions, and now Ike's going to be able to start pulling away here a little bit. But as we've seen, Rodriguez able to claw back at him on the straights, but now Legault fully in range to get that full effect of the draft from Rodriguez. So this could very well be a 3-car battle in a matter of laps.
Do you need to make the L with your pointer finger and thumb just to make sure you got the left and the right?
I wear a ring on my right hand for that exact reason. Ring off, and it still doesn't help.
All right, well, on track, the drivers know which way is left and right, but which way is Rodriguez going to go? Neither of them. He thought about the left side down into the Senna S, but once again has to back out of it. Legault is chopping away each time. Oh, this is a fantastic exit out of the Curva del Sol from Rodriguez. He's going to have the run. No defense from Andreas Ike. He lets him have the inside up to the Descida del Lago. Can Rodriguez get it done? He's not as strong on the braking. Looking around the outside, Andreas Ike. What a defense!
Oh, that was incredible from Ike, but Rodriguez isn't done yet. He's going to try to make something happen here. Coming up into turn 7, has to back out of it a little bit. That's going to pull Legault right up into him. Joe, this is just an incredible battle as Rodriguez runs wide there, trying to find anything to get past Ike.
We got to remember, it's only 11 incident points that will give him a drive-through penalty. I want to say we've seen a couple times already that these drivers have gone a bit wide in a few places, so they got to be awful careful from here on out. Legault, though, I don't think he is looking to be careful at all because he lost so many spots. He's just trying to get back where he started, and one more will do it for him as he comes off of the junction. This could be something down into the Senna S for him. Rodriguez is within his crosshairs. What kind of straight line speed does he have as they pick it up to 140 miles an hour, 145 miles an hour? He's closing, covering off the middle of the track. Rodriguez stays defensive, making the go long way around. And Olivier doesn't have enough.
Doesn't, but he's got a little bit more speed coming off of that corner. You see how much of a tighter line he has. That's going to give him speed by about halfway down the straight and really help him get a drag. You see Rodriguez going defensive. Legault thought about going to the inside, backs off on it. Discretion, the better part of valor. He's going to just hold back and wait as Rodriguez runs very wide there once again. That's going to give Legault a great opportunity as they charge up the hill. He's going to go to the outside of that sweeping left-hander. Not going to have it. Could go for a crossover here. No, he's just going to hold it back, wait, and be patient.
I believe Wood lost a position. Andrew Wood, who had climbed all the way up to 8th, gave that one back to Eric LeBlanc. By the way, I don't think we've gotten to cover that at all. From 19th to 8th at one point, even to 9th position. This is a great climb from Andrew.
He's really just been driving a very, very calm and collected race. I've kind of had my eye on him out of the corner of our screens. He's just picking up places where he can. He's not putting a tire wrong.
Whoa!
Oh!
Commentator's curse.
Flipped him, the commentator's curse coming into effect. Andrew, I'm so sorry.
We shouldn't have paid attention to him. As soon as we put the cameras on, let's watch the replay. And this is definitely an innocent victim sort of thing. He tried to react as quick as he could. Yeah, there's no place to go there. Now, interestingly, now on our screens, it looked like it went back into position, but he is in pit lane. They don't have a spare car. We'll see if Joseph can spot anything popping back into place or how long this stop is. Well, Joseph, it looks like that's a standard stop to me.
Yep, you answered your question. Maybe there were a couple seconds of repairs on that front wing, but it looks pretty fine to me. It must be made out of some pretty hard wood. And Andrew Wood's just going back out on track as if nothing happened.
Well, hopefully that does not hurt his race. Meanwhile, Rodriguez, under a challenge from Legault and Santana, giving a try at things. But they're going to stay in order. Rodriguez is in 5th, Legault in 6th, and Santana in 7th.
They're just going to stay in line through this corner as they work their way down through the final stages of the infield section here. We're going to blast back onto the main straight. We are starting to enter in that pit window, so for Andrew Wood, that may not be deadly for him. He may be okay. But we're going to see here as they start to go in, is anybody going to try to maybe get the pass made in the pits? No, they're going to stay out, and here comes Legault jumping to the outside of Rodriguez. Doesn't look like he's got the momentum. He's going to back off just a little bit there, staying behind Rodriguez as they go down the Reto Aposta.
Boy, great defense from Rodriguez. We saw him hold off Ike for a number of laps. And once again, he's doing that, keeping faster drivers at bay. Legault looking for something up into turn 4. Don't think he's going to have it there. He's just a little bit too far back. Just an update for fans of Declan Eady. Sadly, he will not repeat his win. He retired from the race shortly after he came into the pits. Down to the inside, into the horseshoe. Legault's getting brave and starting to take some creative lines here.
It may be an issue of tire wear, Joe, as we are sitting at 110 degrees track temperature, and Legault has not been pushing that car too hard, so he may have been driving a little conservative, hoping that Rodriguez in front of us burned up his tires trying to attack Andreas Ike, and that may be what we're starting to see.
43 Celsius out there right now. It is steaming hot out here in South America. Just about at the halfway point. Oh, and a slide off. There's those tires you were talking about, as Rodriguez has used them up enough that he loses control out of the junction to fall all the way to 9th. Let's watch a replay on it.
As we jump back here, this is almost an identical carbon copy of what Eric LeBlanc did, trying to get the power down through the junction and just spinning up the rear tires a little bit. As we're going to jump back to replay now to take a look at that, you can see it. He comes down here. Ooh, gets a little bit squirrely there through the duckbill. Tries to work it down. You can see just it sliding across the track just a hair. And watch this. He loses it before he gets into the corner. Right about there, you can see the rear end start to step out. Those rear tires just not gripping whatsoever, oversteer, sending him halfway around.
He was able to fend off Gunderson to keep 9th place, which you see live now. He's still towing him along. A lot of positions lost, unfortunately. Highest car to seem to have taken a scheduled stop right now is Broomhead, as Rodriguez seems to have disappeared. Now, I don't think that's the incident limit because he would have had a drive-through first. This is very bizarre. Josh Chin, in the meantime, up at the front by a whopping 6.5 seconds over David Serrois. His championship rival, who needs to be eating away at the points, is not doing so right now. Although, when we talked to David last week, I do recall him saying that he doesn't really see him as the championship is feasible, considering the dominating performance we've had from the 93.
No, he was pretty resigned to fighting for second place when we spoke to him last week. I thought maybe in practice times that Sirwa was going to have something for him, but Joshua Chin just able to pull away from this race to an unbelievable degree, as we've frankly seen him do time and time again.
Let's jump back a little bit in the mid-pack. I see a battle happening for 16th with Prue and Wright. Wright is on the attack in the number 87. There he is in the white machine with the blue rear wing. Defending to the inside, Prue holds him back as they come through the Senna S. No change of position. They are right behind Andrew Wood. After his stop, he is into 15th and running lap times that are slightly off what he had before. So that damage seems to have affected him at least a little bit, but is still competitive.
Yeah, he's not completely off the pace, and we'll have to see if maybe that early stop is able to benefit him in some way, shape, or form when everything shapes out. Little too early to tell, honestly, but as you see here, this, of course, being Sebastian Prue, one of our pro drivers in that orange car, Adam Wright, one of the AM drivers in the back, so definitely some bragging rights on the line here for Adam Wright as he tries to really position that car in any way he can to get around Prue.
Let's keep the cameras on here, but an update on that AM championship. Santana, Bowden, McLaughlin, and Gunderson, all AM drivers from 6th to 9th among the four of them. They are overperforming big time.
They are, and with Dave Peterson missing out, I think the big winner there is going to be your second top running AM driver, which is McLaughlin. As you see there goes right to the inside. Great run off the corner. That's going to give Prue maybe a chance to fight back here, though. He may have made that pass a little bit too early, Joe.
Oh, you're right. Down to the inside. Prue hits him back. He's got the desired line. Man, Wright looked so good right there, and then unfortunately, it just all went away as quickly as he got it. We've got an update from Joseph Tebben on Rodriguez. What's going on?
Yep, unfortunately, when it rains, it pours in Brazil, and David Rodriguez had that spin, and then he got hit with the dreaded receive through, but fell to unacceptable level, and he's been kicked out of the race due to internet issues, unfortunately.
Oh. So we're not going to be seeing him at least for a while unless he can get his internet worked out. Sad to see that's the way things wound up for what looked like a good top 5 for him today. Meanwhile, the battle continues here for what is now 14th. We had a couple more cars duck in a pit lane ahead of these two. Sebastian Prue leading Adam Wright. Just about 20 minutes left to go. A little less than 20 minutes to go on the clock. So should be seeing more and more of our friends visiting Joseph.
I think they should. I'm a little surprised they haven't started to already, as we've seen a lot of guys able to sort of wanting to go about the half point. As we're going to jump up here to 3rd place, Alex Guyon, as he works his way around a little bit of lap traffic in front of him there.
Yeah, that's a Bear and Barnett. That's actually a battle for position. That's well down the order, so they should be able to get out of the way of him pretty easily here. They come up to turn 8. Yeah, nicely done. That is a beautiful move from Barnett. Didn't lose too much time, but let the leader through. Oh, and then as soon as I say that, he almost spins it.
Just not our night and calling guys out. Good moods, Joe.
Gonna shut up now. Anyways, just a couple more cars. One more car for him to try and get by. I also thought I saw Jean-Francois Matte come in. Looks like he is pitted as well. He's back out on track, and our leader's in. Joshua Chin heading the way of Joseph Tebben. Joseph, can you see him?
I can indeed see Joshua Chin in that beautiful purple and white car. Finally coming in for his pit stop. We'll see if David Sirwa, Alex Guillon follow him, but he pulls into his first pit stall. He's going to get all the tires and fuel he could ever want, and he's out without an issue.
So tires are the call for today for Josh Chin. Nice smooth stop. As looks like Guyon followed him in, but Sirwa did not. Neither did Santana. Chin had such a lead, though. He's actually come out in 2nd place ahead of Santana. I think Ike is in and out. Legault as well.
They're all cycling through here as The one guy to sort of watch out of all of this that I was a little fascinated by was one of the early stoppers, Michael Broomhead. After everybody cycled out here, Broomhead has found himself all the way up in 8th as we watch David Sirwa working his way around. I have to imagine he's going to be diving into the pits on this next lap.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the end of that window here. There we're following the new leader who should hand it back unless something dramatic happens to Joshua Chin. Now, we did see he took tires. Sirwa could not take tires, but that's not going to be enough for him to jump Joshua Chin based on what we've been seeing so far. Down into the lane. There we go. So the Canadian is going to take his stop just one lap later than Joshua Chin. We're still waiting for Santana to come up to that pit entry. That is how far behind everybody else. And there's our driver who will inherit the lead on screen there for a moment, the purple and white car of Josh Chin. Sirwa hits his stall, goes up on the jacks. He is going to take tires. Santana seems to be in behind him. Bowden joins, and Sirwa is back out. Slightly slower stop we're seeing compared to Josh Chin, so not much in terms of gain for the number 19.
Not a lot, but just behind them, Andreas Eick able to get around Alex Guyon there after their round of pit stops, but Guyon looking like he's going to fight back here going into turn 4. Thinks better if it slides back, but Eick really making his way up through the field here as he runs wide again. That's about the 4th or 5th time we've seen him do it, though, tonight, Joe, and I've got to be thinking about that incident limit for him.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that, too, because we know he went off a couple times early when he fell down the order. Still, great pit stop from the number 76 to get himself onto a potential podium. Considering he started this race in 7th, this is a fantastic job from him. Down through the duck spill one more time. He continues to lead Alex Guyon, who is up to 4th. Well, actually, he started 4th, so he's exactly where he began this race. We got a bit of a battle happening between 7th and 8th as well. Bowden and Broomhead very close together until Broomhead just made a mistake, and Broomhead actually off track a little bit there.
Oh, and that's going to hurt Broomhead as we're going to jump back here and take a replay of the incident here as you see Michael Broomhead going around here. That's going to be Bowden in front of him. Broomhead tried to find something, just locked up big time, trying not to run into the back of Don Bowden.
Yeah, it almost looked like he got caught out by the braking point or something. Not sure. As we come back live now, gives a big gap up to the number 5. The 05 in the meantime is looking in his mirrors instead. That's Owen McLaughlin getting chase and just having a little bit of a look down into the Senna S, but not a serious one. He wasn't nearly close enough to make a real attack on that one.
And Joe, that is important to note. These two guys are placed 2nd and 3rd in the AM Championship. Broomhead leading McLaughlin by just McLaughlin leading Broomhead by just a couple of points. That 7-point gap we talked about. So McLaughlin's going to want to get around him because I think if he does it, if my math is right, if he's able to get into that position, he may be able to tie Dave Peterson for the lead of that AM Championship.
LeBlanc, in the meantime, going to get a spot from Duhamel. The 032 on the outside into the Descida del Lago, and he gives that one up. One more for the 542. Started this race in 11th. That'll give him 14th. Still not the race that he was looking for, I'm sure.
No, I don't think it is, but LeBlanc trying to make the best out of a bad situation here. Down 3 from his starting position. He's about 5 seconds back now from Jean-Francois Mattei, so he's got a lot of work to do in the closing stages of this race. Not impossible, but it's going to be a tall order for him.
So I noticed that Andrew Wood, after things cycled through, looks like he's returned in 11th, but Joseph Tebben has an update here on one driver that's been having issues. Joe, what's going on?
Yeah, Michael Broomhead, but as you say that, he actually just took the position back that he lost from a little bit of a mistake. He fell from 8th to 9th after a little bit of a wiggle, but it looks like things are back to normal for Broomhead.
That's McLaughlin he just overtook. Nicely done by the 05. McLaughlin still seeing if he can get back into this thing. We're down to 19 cars left on the lead lap. We've actually had a fair amount of attrition. Cristelli, Wildridge, Roofs, Rodriguez, Edie, Richards all have DNF'd, unfortunately. We had 2 did not starts in the form of Scarali and Peterson. But boy, have we seen some drivers fall afoul of what should not a track really that I pegged, DJ, is one that would eat up cars.
No, nor I. This is sort of one of those middle ground tracks when you talk style of runoff. We're going to jump back up to P3 here as Alex Gaillon trying to reel back in Andreas Eick. He's going to be close enough to take advantage of that slipstream as they work their way onto the pit straight.
Got the run. Is this going to be enough? Does he go aggressive? He looks to the inside. No defense from Eick. He feels pretty safe, and that was a good call as he wasn't able to get down to the apex before him. Gaillon stays behind, looks for another shot, another bite at the apple as they come on to the Retta Aposta. The 76 is going to be under threat. What does Gaillon do? Once again, no defense from Eick, and once again, it was the right call. This is a cool customer.
Andreas Eick almost daring him to sort of take that semi-dive bomb to the inside. I really like that mentality from Eick. It's just sort of a, yeah, come on and get me.
He's been pretty strong under braking for sure, except this time hot into the corner. Gaillon almost touches the gearbox of that orange and white machine. They managed to keep apart from one another. They're down to 10 minutes left to go, and they're coming up on traffic. This is Barnett and Hebert still battling one another.
They're going to do it, but I think depending on what their speed off of the junction is, they may just be able to catch them at the tail end of the main straight or potentially down on the Retta Aposta, which would be ideal for these third and fourth place drivers. You do not want to catch them through the Senna S. That is a one-way ticket to disaster, as in front of them, Hebert and Barnett go side by side.
Oh boy, this is going to slow them up a lot. Hebert looks like he backs out of it, though. He's going to let Barnett have it. They are going to catch them a little bit under braking. How much, though? Not too much of a holdup, it seems, for Andreas Eick. How much is Hebert paying attention? He could pull over here on the Retta Aposta if he's willing to give this time away. He pulls off to the side. Very polite from the number 27. Both of our leaders head through. And now they've just got to dispose of Barnett.
And they've got to pray Barnett gets out of the way here. You do not want to catch a slower car up through these sweeping corners. They're not going to get him in time. This could get nasty, Joe.
Oh, and a late move to the inside, but they read the situation well. Barnett held off to the left. Both of them are through. That got dicey, though.
It certainly did. I know I was very much clenching my jaw. As you see Alex Gaillon trying to take a little bit of a tighter line there through the duckspill, seeing if he can get anything doing. Not going to have it. Going to pray for another good run off the junction to Eick. Try to get some good draft here. I don't know if he's going to fully have it. We're going to have to see if Eick takes that come on and get me position again of not really defending the inside.
It's about how close he was last time we saw him take a look down into the first corner. We're going to see it again, most likely. He just starts to pull him in. Oh, this time he is staying a little bit defensive. Not defensive enough. A half-hearted move to the middle of the track leaves the door open. Down to the apex goes Alex Gaillon, but he's got to complete the pass, and he's going to do it. Gutsy move from the 808 to get onto the podium.
Absolutely perfectly executed. Put Eick a little bit onto that outside rumble strip. I think he spun his wheels just very slightly on that slippery air, but Eick's not done, trying to maybe fight around the outside, and they touch. Gaillon goes spinning around, and Eick also off into the runoff.
Oh no, and that means that those two will get by. They actually don't lose a position from that. So he's going to let Gaillon take the spot back. That is good sportsmanship from the 76. Just taking the fight to further down the road, letting it continue. Doesn't want to take it under suspect circumstances. But now they got to lap the traffic all over again in these last 7 minutes. This has extended the distance between P2 and P3 as Serrois is now full 14 seconds ahead of Gaillon.
Suha just able to pull away and really secure onto that second position. And Joe, I'm looking at Andreas Eich's car. Doesn't look like there's any damage, so I think both of those guys were able to get away scot-free. As you see Joshua Chin putting in a fastest lap of the race, and they come up here on David Hebert. That was a little too close for comfort.
Bear's going to just stay to the outside of the two of them. Ike's not going to take this one sitting down. He's been full of spunk today for sure. Willing to get a little bit aggressive in places and really push hard. We're down to, let's see, 18 cars left on the lead lap now, as I think Josh Chin just managed to get by another one. He's been really unhassled by any of the lap traffic. It's been non-dramatic in many senses of the word for him today. Down through the Descida del Lago. The fight for third continues, where much of the action has been, but it's been with multiple different drivers as the race has gone on. You think about Rodriguez, who has fallen back and then eventually gone out. Santana briefly looking at things. Now Ike and Gaillon as well fighting for top spots.
Yeah, it's just sort of that third place position just being the absolute hot seat tonight and giving us all kinds of great action. Now, Ike, maybe I spoke too early, Joe. It just doesn't seem like Ike's got the bite that he did earlier to get by Gaillon. Maybe it's Gaillon just finally being able to stretch his legs in front a little bit. But of course, as I say, Ike able to close up a little bit. That may be just within draft potential down the pit straight.
Yeah, whenever we've seen Gaillon this close behind Ike, he's been able to make good on it. Now can Andreas do the same? Coming up towards the Senna S. It's getting quicker. It's getting quicker. But he doesn't make a show of it. Gaillon, though, a little bit of a shallow entry. Maybe feeling nervous. More so than the 76 did when the roles were reversed.
I think it is, but I think it may be a little bit of a calculated move there for Gaillon, knowing that he was able to better position the car on that inside line. And so maybe forcing Ike to go around the outside a little bit. He just thinks that will help him out as they go through.
Holding him at bay and keeping half an eye on 10th place, because Wood looking to try and overtake Espedy soon. He's been chopping down at that gap for a number of laps now. It's within about half a second at this point, but for the time being, the closer fight is between third and fourth place that you see on screen.
It is, as you see a little bit of lock up there in front from that lapped car. They're going to come back here, that all-important junction. Who's going to get the better run off of that corner? Who's going to get the speed down the straightaway?
Both of them hustling the cars through the junction, trying to keep up that momentum as they head up the hill. Don't think Ike's got enough. It looks mildly farther behind than what we saw last lap by. This is Prue to the inside, who's just trying to stay out of the way. He does so very nicely.
He does, and I think there Alex Gaillon helped a little bit by the draft of Prue, helped him get a little bit more of an advantage. But as we've seen time and time again, Andreas Ike able to claw a little bit back through the Senna S. On the exit, though, Gaillon able to get a little faster. Big defensive move, though, there from Gaillon, going all the way down to the inside.
Oh, he's got the jitters. The 808 is not comfortable with where things sit, trying to cover things off when he doesn't necessarily have to. He's only got to do it for 3 more minutes, though, with a minute and a half. Actually, where is Josh Chin? I think we're going to be 2 to go at the line. It's very tight.
It's tight indeed, and it may very well decide when Chin takes the white flag who's going to be ahead in this battle. The way we've seen it go back and forth and back and forth is it looks like Ike's got a little bit closer here, working their way through the duckbill. He's got some better traction, I think, through that infield section. We'll have to see if he can make it work. Maybe the absence of that front. We're going to jump on board here with Ike. You can see just how tricky and fun this corner is. Got to cut that apex perfectly, get it on. Ooh, big run there from Gaillon. That's going to be hard to claw back.
Yeah, he is distancing himself in a big way. Meantime, I can confirm Josh Chin crossed with 2 to go. So next time by will be the white flag for our leader. 2 to go now for these two, weaving back and forth. Guyon is trying everything to break this slipstream. To his credit, it seems to be doing the trick.
It is indeed working, as he is able to stay ahead now, able to pull out about half a second gap back to up, as we're going to jump back here to the battle for P8. That's going to be Michael Broomhead and Owen McLaughlin, effectively the race for the lead of the AM Championship. And behind them, Austin Espedy and Andrew Wood getting involved. This is a nice four-way scrap here.
Oh, this could erupt in a big way. And this final lap, once they come through, McLaughlin looks the most susceptible right now. Espedy with a good amount of pace. And he thinks about it coming into the Descida del Lago, but then decides against it. Wood's the one that I feel like is most out of position compared to what we typically see. I feel like he'll be a serious threat for these three.
He was, and if he had not had that impacts earlier with LeBlanc, I genuinely think he would be our biggest mover. As you see there, guys trying to go big and wide, trying to find something. That was Owen McLaughlin trying to get around Michael Broomhead, but nothing doing there. That's going to leave him a little bit susceptible to Austin Espedy here. Going to have to see what Espedy can make happen now, as he's was able to get a run, has to back off a little bit, and that in turn is going to open Espedy up to maybe a run by Wood down the main straight.
We are on the white flag lap, by the way, for our leader, as these four come up to take that white flag themselves. I think we might have a pass for Wood on Espedy, but Espedy is going to cover off the inside as they come down to the Senna S. How much damage is Wood still holding on to? It doesn't seem to be helping his straight line speed, as despite a fantastic run, he still is not able to execute. Meanwhile, our leader has about 3 corners to go.
There you can see Josh Chin. We haven't checked on him in much of this race, but that is because he has been driving to absolute perfection. Once around the junction for the final time, back up onto the main pit straight here. He's going to bring it home, Joe.
Josh Chin looking at win number 6 out of 7 rounds. Just incredible from the 93 as he takes victory here today in Brazil. We had a change for position between Wood and McLaughlin. That's actually 2 spots down, I think, for McLaughlin. He must have made a major error, so that's promoted both Espedy and Andrew.
It has, as you see David Serrois crossing the line once again, bringing the car home in a well-deserved P2, really able to run away from it. Behind him, Alex Guyon able to hold off Andreas Ike. Looks like they're going to cross the line with Guyon taking last position and Ike.
So there's your podium, but what about for 7th spot? Michael Broomhead just ahead of Espedy. Wood starting to fall back. McLaughlin too. I'd say that Broomhead is safe on this one as he comes to the line. Indeed, that will get him the spot. Almost looked like McLaughlin maybe was shy on fuel or something there at the end, the way he quickly fell backwards. From there on down, the only fight we've got is between Duhamel and Gore. This is for 13th spot. I don't think Gore's got anything for him, though, as they're going to run out of track. So they're going to finish in position, and that means only 2 more cars as the lead lap cars finish up. We're going to take a break here. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around, because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Autódromo. Jose Carlos Pache, better known as Interlagos, where we just watched round 7 of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 Series, and Josh Chin took the win, with David Serrois coming home behind him, both of them finishing where they started, first and second respectively. Alex Guyon up one spot to claim a podium, just denying Andreas Eick, who worked so hard to see if he could spray the champagne, but he was just shy. Even still, he went from 7th to 4th. Legault finished in 5th with Kevin Santana in 6th, and then Don Bowden in 7th. You got Michael Broomhead up to 8th today, Austin Espedy finishing 9th, and then Andrew Wood, who didn't get any practice in, had to come in late for the qualifying and climb from 19th up to 10th.
Bringing the car home in 11th was Owen McLaughlin, followed by Matthew Gunderson, Jean-Francois Mattei, and Eric LeBlanc. Next, Sean Duhamel, followed by Tyler Gore, Anders Arhus, and Adam Wright. Barry Cochran, the first of our lapped cars down in 19th, and in 20th was Daniel Barnett.
Then in 21st, stuck in a battle with Daniel Barnett all day, was David Hebert, followed by Donald Olson. In 22nd, Sebastian Prue finished 23rd. David Cristelli, with an early pit stop, finished 24th, 10 laps down. And now we're getting into cars who unfortunately left the race early. Paul Wildridge, Aaron Roos 26th, David Rodriguez unfortunately 27th, Declan Eady, his teammate 28th, Christopher Richards 29th, Dave Peterson didn't start the race in 30th, and all on his own in 31st, who also didn't start the race, Tyler Scarelli.
We've got our winner ready to talk to us, Joshua Chin, once again returning to this top step of the podium here. And it's been just a phenomenal season for that number 93 car, having won 6 out of the 7 races. Josh, welcome back to the top step. This looked like another one where you simply had control of the whole thing.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried in qualifying with how close some of the pace was from Declan and David, but once I got in the race and broke the draft, it was just smooth sailing from there.
We heard from David Serrois last week that he seemed pretty down about his chances on the championship. I mean, when you hear that, how does that make you feel? Is that sort of an encouragement, or do you want the guys to come at you and give you more of a fight?
I mean, I wouldn't mind more of a fight right now. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty asleep at the end of the race, but it's the pace has been about the same as last season, so it's just keeping the foot to the throat and just pushing as much as you can.
Some really aggressive terminology there. You're on a bit of a roll. You won last night as well in the Indy cars for the Lionheart series. Are you becoming Mr. Open Wheel here on the channel?
I hope so. I haven't really had form like this for about 2 or so years, so it's nice to get back to it. The consistency seems a lot better. Lionheart, I still have some occasional missteps here and there. Pit road exit at Atlanta comes to mind, but overall, it's the consistency is a lot better, and I think that's the biggest thing that helps me right now. The pace has been about the same during that time, but the consistency and having that pace has helped so much.
Your pace has just been jaw-dropping in some places, especially like today. Again, congratulations, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you some more before the season's out.
Thank you, guys.
Josh Chin, your winner here today. Meanwhile, DJ has caught up with David Serrois, the Canadian, once again coming home the bridesmaid.
David, relatively quiet race for you out there. A little bit of scuffles at the beginning, but once everything was said and done, it looked like you just had that second place on lock.
Yeah, first a nice win to Joshua. Congratulations to him. Yeah, lonely race for me. The Lavoie Motorsport karting offer Nitro 360 car was nervous tonight. I could not drive it the way I would like to, so I didn't push too hard to secure second place.
Okay, well, I mean, we're heading to Mid-Ohio next week. A little bit similar in terms of some of the braking profiles. Do you think you'll be able to get those sorted? Maybe give Josh a run for his money there?
Well, I don't think so. Joshua is on his own planet only. Declan Eady can challenge him sometimes, but I don't think I will be able to challenge him anyway.
Well, we'll be hoping that you do regardless and just seeing what happens because we always love watching you race. Before we let you go tonight, David, anybody you need to thank tonight?
Of course, the admins of the series, La Voix Motorsport, Karting Offer, Nitro 360, and you guys, you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you so very much, David, and congrats on that second. And now we turn over to Joseph, who has our third place, Alex Guyon, in the booth.
Hi, guys.
Well, Alex, for the second week in a row, you're back on the podium.
I can hardly believe it.
Neither could we after that contact with Andreas Eich. You made it a spin to third place against all odds. How'd you pull that off?
That was a race contact, a race accident. It wasn't a bad move from Andreas. We were fighting together, and I guess he missed his braking point. Those kind of things happened. But after that, I had a little damages, but nothing too bad. But it wasn't a fun end of race for me. I think Andreas was more than fair play after this contact because I think he could have passed.
Yep, we always love to see that sportsmanship, and because you're on the podium again, you get the honors of shouting out who you want to shout out. Who do you need to thank?
I want to thank my team, La Voix Motorsport, my sponsor, LM Production, everyone at PRL who does an amazing job, everyone at GSRC who does an amazing job too. And I want to thank Andreas for his behavior tonight. And a big shout out to Olivier Legault, my partner, top 5.
All right, there's your podium. And to take us out, here's Joe Peak.
Well, thank you very much, Joseph. Interesting insights from each of them this week, but let's close it up with a big thank you to our sponsor, of course, Butt Kicker. If you want to see where you can get their products, check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Also, a thank you goes out to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. We've listed them here on your screen, along with June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. If you want to check out her Bandcamp, go give that a look and get some of her work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, Dougie, and Joseph. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. The next race, as we mentioned, going to Mid-Ohio. That'll be a tough one for overtaking for sure. That'll be Thursday, November 12th at 9 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar, including the next one up in just about 15 minutes. The Throwback IndyCar Series goes to Charlotte at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. I believe that's the finale, so don't miss that one. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.